On September 10, 1969, the United States government detonated a nuclear bomb 8,400 feet beneath a cattle ranch in western Colorado. Not a weapons test, not an accident. A 40-kiloton device, roughly twice the yield of the bomb dropped on Nagasaki, lowered down a drill hole in Garfield County and fired on purpose, with the ranchers watching from a safe distance and the state of Colorado's full knowledge. The goal was natural gas. And here's the part that almost nobody knows. It worked. The blast shattered the rock. Gas flowed into the cavity exactly the way the engineers predicted. The problem was that the gas came back radioactive, laced with tritium, and no utility in America would buy it. So they flared it off into the Colorado sky and walked away. 4 years later, they tried again, 60 miles north, with 3 bombs at once. That failed too. Now ask yourself what kind of resource makes a government detonate 4 nuclear weapons under its own soil to reach it. Everyone involved already knew the gas was down there. That was never the question. The question was whether anything human beings could build would ever be strong enough to get it out. For most of the last century, the federal estimate for undiscovered gas in the Mancos shale was 1.6 trillion cubic feet. A footnote in a survey document. The place is called the Basin. Pisons, a word most Americans have never said out loud, in a corner of Colorado drilled since before the First World War. In 2016, the U.S. Geological Survey reassessed the same rock in the same basin under the same ranches. The new number was 66.3 trillion cubic feet, not a revision, a rewrite, 40 times larger than the figure that had stood before it. That is more gas than the proven reserves of Norway. Only one continuous gas assessment in USGS history has ever come out larger: the Marcellus, the formation that collapsed gas prices across a hemisphere. This is the second biggest, sitting under ranch land in a state nobody thinks of as a gas state. So how does a formation 40 times bigger than anyone thought hide in a basin drilled for 100 years? What changed in 2016 to make the same rock suddenly worth 40 times more? And why does a gas field almost nobody is drilling still end up inside the price you pay for electricity? In 1899, a USGS geologist named Whitman Cross found a thick gray shale near a Colorado town called Mancos. He named it after the town and moved on. He was describing one of the largest gas-bearing rock bodies on the continent. Neither he nor anyone else knew it for 114 years. To every generation of drillers after him, the Mancos was not a target. It was the thing in the way. 90 million years ago, a shallow sea cut North America in half, and western Colorado sat on its floor. Organic material rained down for millions of years, buried under mud, pressed into gray rock. What makes this one different is what the industry decided the rock was for. Around the Mancos sit the sandstones, porous rock that held gas in a way that made sense to 20th century drillers. Those were the targets. The Mancos was the barren overburden you punched through, and operators measured progress by how fast they cleared it. They were drilling through the deposit on the way to the target for 100 years. Stay with me, because to understand why they kept doing that, you have to see what this basin did to the people who believed in it. Western Colorado has been promised a fortune underground before. Twice. It did not go well either time. If this is the kind of thing you want more of, that's what Geoscope is. Subscribe. By the late 1960s, the industry knew the gas was there and that the rock would not release it. Conventional wells produced a trickle, then nothing. So the Atomic Energy Commission proposed Operation Plowshare, nuclear weapons for civil engineering. Project Rulison was funded jointly by the government and a private oil company. Nearby towns were cleared that morning. The device carved a cavity of rubble hundreds of feet across, and gas moved in, a technical success by the engineer's own standard. Then they tested the gas and found tritium, radioactive, unsellable. It was flared off and the project written off. In May 1973, they tried again in Rio Blanco County. 3 devices fired at once in one hole, meant to link into a single chimney. The cavities did not connect. The gas, again, was contaminated. Colorado voters then required statewide approval before any further detonation. Most productive American shales are thin. The Marcellus, where it made fortunes, is often tens of feet, A narrow band operators spend millions trying to stay inside. The Mancos here can be 4,000 feet thick. That is not a layer. That is a wall of source rock close to a mile deep, sandstone benches running through it like seams in a mine. Not one target, a dozen, stacked, and only a few ever tested. 2 nuclear devices went off inside a basin whose actual prize was the rock they were treating as the ceiling. So why has it stayed in the ground? 3 barriers. The first is depth. The productive Mancos runs past 10,000 feet under heat and pressure that make every foot expensive. The second stings because the solution was built and then taken away. In 2009, a pipeline called the Rockies Express came online. 1,700 miles of steel, $5 billion, from Coeur, Colorado, in this basin, east to Ohio. It existed to solve exactly this problem. Then Pennsylvania happened. The Marcellus came online at scale and the East no longer needed Western gas. So in August 2015, the operator reversed part of the line, and Appalachian gas began flowing west through the same steel. Sit with that. The pipeline that starts in this basin was designed to move 1.8 billion cubic feet a day east. It now moves 2.6 billion a day back in. The road out exists. It is pointed the wrong way, and the lane coming back is wider. The third barrier is price, and it decides everything. In 2024, the benchmark U.S. gas price averaged $2.19, the lowest inflation-adjusted annual price in the history of the market. Cheap gas is wonderful for a household in January. It is fatal for a deep, remote formation. And this is where the story turns, because this basin has already lived through a collapse so sudden that people here still date their lives by it. Not the gas, something else, on a Sunday. 8 miles from the Rulison blast sits the town of Parachute, Colorado. In the late 1970s, Parachute became the center of the largest energy project in the American West. Exxon was building the Colony Shale oil project, oil from rock, at industrial scale. An entire town, Battlement Mesa, was built for the workforce. On Wednesday, April 26, 1982, Exxon executives met in Manhattan and killed the project. Nobody in Colorado was told. 6 days later, on Sunday, May 2nd, the announcement went out. The investment economics, Exxon's president said, no longer supported it. 2,100 people lost their jobs that day. Most heard it on the radio. Some found out the next morning, turned away at the gate. $85 million of annual payroll disappeared overnight. Equipment was left where it stood. Workers lined up for final paychecks, cashed them, and drove out. Over 2 years, Garfield and Mesa counties lost 24,000 people. Houses in Battlement Mesa, financed by Exxon itself, sold for a fraction of what they cost to build. And for years afterward, you could drive through western Colorado and see the same bumper sticker on truck after truck. 3 words: Exxon sucks rocks. The date has a name here. People call it Black Sunday, and nobody has to explain which Sunday. Then it happened again. Through the 2000s, high prices sent rigs back by the dozen, drilling the sandstones above the Mancos. Production topped out around 2 billion cubic feet a day in 2014 and has been falling ever since. 2 booms, 2 busts, both ended by economics, neither by geology. Nothing down there went anywhere. In 2013, a company called WPX Energy drilled a horizontal well into the Mancos, not through it, into it, using the fracturing developed for other shales and never aimed here. The well came in at 16 million cubic feet of gas per day, from a formation the industry had spent a century treating as waste rock. That result triggered the reassessment. In 2016, the estimate moved from 1.6 trillion cubic feet to 66.3 trillion. The rock had not changed. The technology had finally caught up to the geology. Before I show you where this stands today, there is one thing this basin does to the American gas market every day without producing a single new well, and almost nobody mentions it. After the largest upward gas reassessment in modern American history, activity did not surge. Garfield County's drilling peaked in 2008 at 1,700 well starts in a year. Recent years have run in dozens. This spring, an executive at one of the basin's operators said out loud what the problem is. Gas inside the Pisans had fallen to 84 cents, the lowest his company had ever seen. That same week, the national benchmark was $2.75. That gap is the entire story. Gas here sells for a third of what it is worth 1,500 miles away because it cannot get there. One operator laid its rig down in February. Another shut in 20 million cubic feet a day from wells already drilled and connected because at that price, it was not worth producing. Here is what 66 trillion cubic feet does even when nobody touches it. It sets a ceiling. Every producer in America knows this gas is mapped, assessed, and sitting under a century of infrastructure with a pipeline running out of it. Any price high enough to make Colorado worth drilling is the same price that pulls Colorado into the market and pushes that price back down. It does not have to be produced to matter. It only has to be credible. And it has been since 2016. That is how a basin nobody is drilling ends up inside your utility bill. Last month, the 3 counties that make up this basin reported 24.4 billion cubic feet. Under 800 million a day, less than 1% of what America burns, and down 60% from a decade ago. Now hold that against 66.3 trillion cubic feet under those same counties. At the rate they are currently producing, that is more than 200 years of gas. So the constraint is not the resource. There is no version of this story where the basin runs out. The question is whether anyone wants it badly enough to pay to move it. Here is where that stands as you watch this. This spring, for the first time in years, rigs started moving toward the deep rock. In May, Chevron mobilized a rig in western Garfield County to drill 2 horizontal wells into shale 10,000 feet down. The county's oil and gas liaison called it a significant change. Another operator intends to drill outside Parachute before the year is out, and the liaison was blunt about what happens if it works. Operators would be looking at a far more significant resource than the one they produce now. 2 wells. In a basin holding 66 trillion cubic feet, with gas at 84 cents and wells already shut in for being unprofitable. The resource is enormous. The economics are brutal, and somebody is out there drilling anyway right now to find out which wins. What would trigger it is not a discovery, it is demand. LNG capacity expanding on the Gulf Coast, American electricity consumption rising for the first time in a generation. Natural gas is the largest source of electricity in this country. Its price is in your bill whether you heat with it or not. Under a ranch in Garfield County, there is still a cavity of shattered radioactive rock where a nuclear bomb went off in 1969. There is a circle drawn around it. Inside half a mile, no company can drill without a special hearing before the state commission, and in 57 years, not one operator has ever requested one. 500 acres of the second largest assessed gas resource in the United States, and nobody will touch it. The gas is there, mapped, assessed, measured at roughly 66 trillion cubic feet. What is in dispute is whether it is worth anything. That has never been decided by the rock. It has been decided by price, by a Sunday in 1982, by Pennsylvania in 2009, by a pipeline turned around in 2015. And here's the last thing. When the USGS produced that number, they were assessing only the intervals that had been tested. The Mancos here is stacked with benches that have had almost no horizontal wells drilled into them. That figure is not a ceiling. It is a measurement of the part somebody looked at. Western Colorado has twice been told that a fortune underneath it was about to change everything, and twice it was told wrong. But the gas outlasted both verdicts, and every producer in America has to price around it whether it is drilled or not. It is confirmed, mapped, and waiting. And it has never once needed to be in a hurry.